Sister, aren't you going to fix your fish pond? I'm about to be squeezed out. Gao Yan sent a voice message late at night while drunk. Even through the screen, I could feel his grievance. But I didn't reply. That's the game of love. Knowing when to tighten and loosen the reins so you can advance and retreat with ease. At 6 in the morning, I was woken by urgent knocking. The moment I opened the door, Gao Yan rushed straight to the bedroom. He said he was here to catch me cheating, that some other guy must have been pinning me down, which is why I hadn't replied to his message. As he spoke, his eyes reddened and his deep, low voice was laced with a hint of a sob. The man before me had disheveled hair, deep-set eyes, long, thick eyelashes, a straight nose, and a stubbled jawline, a ruggedly handsome, wild man through and through. But he cried easily, especially after drinking. Frustrated by his lack of spirit, I grabbed his tie and dragged him to the bathroom mirror, snarling fiercely, "You're wasting the image I carefully crafted for you, damn it. I'm He Cheng, the top agent in the entertainment industry, nicknamed He the Demon. Wealthy and influential, with deceased parents, my biggest hobby is grooming fresh-faced male stars. Gao Yan is the 36th male celebrity under my management, and he'd been fading into obscurity for 3 months. Instead of reflecting on himself, he blamed me for finding someone new. Gee, how was I supposed to know his fame would fade so fast? If I had, I wouldn't have seduced him into signing a contract in the first place. The return on investment was just too low." Gao Yan wrapped his arms around me. I was pulled uncontrollably into his embrace, my forehead bumping against his well-developed chest. His muffled voice came from above. "Sister, I don't want to be a star anymore. Come back with me and be Mrs. Gao. I have money. The Zhou family are real estate tycoons. Gao Yan is the illegitimate son of the Zhou family, so he's certainly not short on money, but he's not worthy of me. Not because he's illegitimate, but because, by family hierarchy, he should call me aunt. He doesn't know this. Few people know that I'm the granddaughter of old Master Bai." I chuckled lightly, stood on my tiptoes and wrapped my arms around his neck. "Be good, Yan Yan. Go to sleep. Staying up late ages you fast. Then you'll have even less capital to survive in the entertainment industry." He grunted in response, burying his head in my neck, his breath tickling me. Does sister only have Lemu Bai in her heart? Of course not. I slowly turned to look at the pair in the mirror. One strong and one soft. A perfect match of talent and beauty. There's also Jifan, Lin Shengqi, Su Chang, Guo Su Chun. These were all male stars under my banner, each with a different style and exquisite features. Before I could finish, he angrily released me, stepped back, and slowly crouched down against the tiles, his eyes downcast, radiating an air of dejection and sorrow. Perfect for a music video about the pain of youth. I patiently coaxed him. What bad intentions could sister possibly have? This is just for work, isn't it? He ignored me. I tried again, patiently. How about I buy you a watch? He ignored me. I continued, patiently. Be good, Yan Yan. Don't make a scene here. We already have enough rumors. If the paparazzi catch us again, it'll be bad for you. He looked up at me, his eyes full of grievance. Yesterday's trending topic was you and Li Mubai meeting at the hotel at night. I blinked, tilted my head and smiled. Standard tactic, you know that. You and I have met at night, plenty of times. He stood up, took a long stride, and lifted me onto the bathroom counter. Holding the back of my head, he kissed me roughly, dominating my lips. He stole the air from my lungs, and with it, all my strength seemed to drain away. I clung to his shirt, my heart racing with desire, my remaining sanity slowly crumbling. Forget it. It wouldn't be the first time. A little stress relief for myself wouldn't hurt. After we were done, this big guy finally fell asleep. My whole body aching, I crawled out of bed and slipped out the door, feeling weak all over. Stuck in traffic on the elevated highway, my best friend Wang Ahua sent me a video, asking how I planned to handle the fight between Gao Yan and Li Mubai last night. They fought last night. Why didn't Gao Yan mention it? I quickly asked if Li Mubai's face was hurt. Wang Ahua said no. That was good. For male celebrities, as long as the face wasn't harmed, it was a minor issue. I replied nonchalantly, I'll step in and mediate. It's fine. Mubai is very well behaved. In the video, Wang Ahua had a strange camera angle, looking down from above. Even showing the soles of her feet, she was probably clipping her toenails. She said casually, "Gao Yan's brother is famously overprotective. You'd better keep Li Mubai on a tight leash." If I had known, I would have replied to Gao Yan's message yesterday. Maybe this wouldn't have happened. After hanging up, I immediately called Li Mubai. The phone rang a few times and then was hung up. Li Mubai always answered within 3 rings. He'd only ignored my call once before the time his father's surgery failed. The traffic was at a standstill. I opened the window and lit a cigarette. Amidst the swirling smoke, a text message arrived. "Come see me at the Zhou family tea house." After deleting the message, I looked at the city bathed in morning light, feeling an immense sense of calm within. Even under the sun, there are shadows. Gao Yan's brother was the kind of person who lived a life of luxury and indulgence within those shadows. For the sake of his brother, he had finally tangled with me. It took 3 hours to drive to the Zhou family tea house. Perched on a mountaintop, the tea house offered a beautiful view overlooking the tea plantations. Gao Yan's brother, Zhou Moyuan, impeccably dressed in a suit and shiny leather boots, leaned against the railing, chewing on a fresh tea leaf, watching me with an ambiguous smile. I took off my high heels and stood barefoot on the muddy mountain path. Like Gao Yan, he was tall and imposing. Standing next to him, I only reached his chest. Heels or not, I still had to look up to talk to him. "Why did you touch my people?" He grinned as if he'd heard something funny, took off his sunglasses and put them on my face. "I only have this one brother, he the demon. You broke the code. You slept with my brother but refused to take responsibility." I tilted my head. "So I'm that cheap? Sleep with me twice and you get me. And I have to be responsible." His smile slowly faded, his gaze turning cold. I took off the sunglasses and tossed them onto the grass nearby. "Young master, treating me like this? Be careful, or your elders might spank your little bottom." I hope to hear from Li Mubai that he's safe before I go down this mountain. The one in charge of the Zhou family was the 79-year-old old Master Zhou, who was a sworn brother to my father, and later joined forces with my grandfather to conquer the southern market. When Gao Yan wanted to enter the entertainment industry, old Master Zhou almost broke his leg with his cane. I was forced to reveal my identity to him, telling him I was old Master Bai's granddaughter. Old Master Zhou was pleased that Gao Yan was close to someone from the Bai family. On several occasions he got so excited he brought out family heirlooms and put them in my trunk. I told him to tone it down. I didn't want others to know my identity, as it might affect the family business. As I turned to leave, Zhou Moyuan stepped in front of me with his long legs, put his hands on my shoulders, and squinted. "You the demon. Don't play with fire." Such a stereotypical overbearing CEO line. I grabbed his dark red tie and pulled him down. "Mister, don't try to get my attention. You can't afford the game." Before he could react, I grabbed my shoes, jumped aside, and laughed heartily. I entered the entertainment industry so the men I liked could act in the scripts I liked. And I especially loved those arrogant, flashy, overbearing CEO scripts. That moment just now. Pretty satisfying. Zhou Moyuan, who had been staring at me without moving, suddenly pursed his lips and smiled shyly, looking oddly strange. Even though the midday sun was strongest, I felt a chill. These two brothers were so different inside and out. The younger brother, tall and ruggedly handsome, was a crybaby. The older brother, tall and suave, could actually be shy. "Don't get any ideas about me. Your brother alone is enough trouble." With that, I put my heels back on and wobbled unsteadily towards the parking lot. The mountain path was rugged. The tea house had kept its natural style and hadn't paved the road. Walking was difficult, but I refused to lose my dignity. Suddenly, I was lifted off my feet, the world spinning, as Zhou Moyuan hoisted me over his shoulder, head down. I fumed, "Can't you at least carry me like a princess?" Zhou Moyuan mocked, "You have too many men carrying you like that. This way, you'll remember me." After a few steps, Zhou Moyuan stopped and put me down. Not far away, Gao Yan stood with his hands in his pockets, his eyes full of sarcasm. "Brother, is this what you call helping me?" Zhou Moyuan's hands, hidden behind his back, nervously twisted the fabric of his clothes, but his face maintained an arrogant elder brother expression. Gao Yan was oblivious to these small movements. Standing to the side, I saw everything clearly, and couldn't help but feel amused, watching the drama unfold. Zhao Yan, what do you take me for? I saw Zhou Moyuan's Adam's apple bob a few times before he could utter the words. It must have taken some mental effort. Interesting. Gao Yan strode over, stuffed my hand into his pocket and grumbled. Sister runs fast. If it weren't for the GPS tracker on you, I wouldn't have been able to catch you in the act. I clicked my tongue in annoyance. This guy dared to track me? Fine, we're done. I forcefully pulled my hand out, swayed my hips over to Zhou Moyuan, linked my arm through his, and pressed my body against his. Brother, someone has ruined my mood. Let's reschedule. With that, I pulled Zhou Moyuan's ear down, and when he tilted his head towards me, I planted a smacking kiss on his cheek. Loud and clear. Wiping my mouth, I swaggered off, completely ignoring the chaotic scene behind me. I rushed off to a dinner meeting with the director to discuss the script and casting. The director could hold his liquor well, mixing baijiu and wine. Having been in this circle for a while, I knew many tricks to avoid drinking. But when facing someone I admired, I could never bring myself to use them. This director was someone I admired. After finishing the meal, I was nearly done for. I ran to the bathroom to throw up 5 times. Before leaving, the director patted my shoulder and sighed. For a has-been actor, you're still willing to go this far. Girl, I hope that young actor doesn't let you down. Don't worry, director. Playing a policeman has always been his dream. He'll definitely work hard, I vowed confidently. This was a promise I'd made to Gao Yan. I don't make promises lightly, but once I do, I'll see them through, no matter how hard. Not long after I got back to the company, Li Mubai showed up. He said he wanted to terminate his contract and had the penalty fee ready. I lounged in my chair, spun around 3 times and agreed. You didn't need a brain to figure out this was the brothers' doing. The penalty fee came from them. The resignation was forced by them. Forget it. Li Mubai was fading anyway, and he clashed with a rival company's image. In an era dominated by trending topics, winners and losers are decided fast. If one doesn't work, move to the next. It's like gambling. I only asked Li Mubai one question. Did he regret it? Li Mubai, eyes red-rimmed, smiled gently at me, saying he was an adult who could read the situation. The Zhou family were people he couldn't afford to offend, and he didn't want me to offend them for his sake. I never liked persuading people. Analyzing pros and cons is an individual's choice. After Li Mubai left, I curled up on the sofa to rest. Soon, Wang Ahua arrived, with Gao Yan following behind her. She threw her bag onto my lap and plopped down on my desk, panting. What's going on? Li Mubai posted on Weibo about terminating his contract with you. I sighed dejectedly. Yeah, the heartless man. Just yesterday he was meeting me at the hotel, and today he leaves me. Such is the fickle world. People's hearts are unpredictable. Sister, you're just asking for failure. Your parents' inheritance will be squandered by you at this rate. You invested so much in Li Mubai, and you let him go before even breaking even. Idiot. She rolled her eyes, mocking me. I looked up at her steadily. It's my mother's inheritance. I don't have a father. Wang Ahua realized her mistake and quickly made an excuse to leave. After she left, Gao Yan crouched by the sofa, massaging my temples. Sister, you've been drinking. Gao Yan, I've lined up a drama for you. After you finish this one, you'll have fulfilled your wish, and will terminate the contract. Gao Yan's movements paused. He lowered his head, his voice muffled. Why? Checking my phone, reading chats, routine interrogations. GPS tracking today. Gao Yan, when I say I like young guys, I mean youthful, energetic guys, not immature kids. This wasn't our first fight, but it was the first time I'd seriously considered termination. His possessiveness was too strong, far exceeding my limits. Our first time was completely accidental. I like a drink now and then, and I'm usually fine. But that one time I slipped up. Waking up that morning, I saw how incredibly handsome he was. Perfect for the entertainment industry. If I could go back to that day, I'd rather just settle the score and walk away after. He hung his head even lower. Sister, that's called caring. No. I stood up and grabbed my bag. To me, it's a nuisance. With that, I pulled open the door to leave. Gao Yan rushed over and held my hand, his eyes glistening with tears. I'll change. Tell me what kind of love you want, and I'll learn. I pulled my hand away, shook my head, and left without looking back. Gao Yan called after me. Sister said that when you were drunk, it doesn't count. I couldn't help but sigh. Matters of the heart, if not handled well, become self-imposed prisons. I'd originally planned to go back to my hometown in the countryside for a while to recuperate. But after getting used to the fast, glamorous life, I couldn't stand the slow pace back home. After a few days, I hastily said my goodbyes and headed back to the big city. Just before I left, my grandfather pulled me aside and asked who I would choose between Zhou Moyuan and Gao Yan. I asked him how he knew about it. He said he and old Master Zhou had a bet going. He had chosen Zhou Moyuan and told me not to let him lose, whatever I did. I was speechless. These two old men were gossiping about me. My mind wandered while driving, and I accidentally hit the guardrail, nearly going off the bridge. The river current was strong, crashing against the shore rocks, sending up spray. One look was enough to make my legs weak. While I was still in shock, the car suddenly jolted violently. Someone had rear-ended me. The car slid a bit further towards the edge, scaring me so much my hair stood on end. I stormed out of the car, ready for a fight, only to find it was Zhou Moyuan. He stood with his arms crossed, leaning against his car, grinning like a fool. I heard you like thrills. Was that thrilling just now? I slapped him across the face, screeching, "Are you crazy? What kind of joke is that?" He grabbed my wrist, frowned, and lowered his voice. "You weren't joking either when you kissed me." "You kissed me?" I struggled to twist my wrist free. "We're all adults here. Everyone has some social etiquette. Haven't you seen it before? So what if I kissed you?" I couldn't get my hand free. In a fit of pique, I quickly kissed him on the cheek again. He held my wrist with one hand and touched his cheek with the other, looking at me incredulously. Social etiquette, understand? I stomped my foot in anger. He pulled me towards the passenger side of his car and shoved me in unceremoniously. Seeing no hope of escape, I stopped struggling. "My car is expensive. Take mine." His hand, reaching for the seatbelt, paused. "Are you crazy? At a time like this, you're worried about which car is more expensive." I nodded seriously. "My car is expensive. I wouldn't feel comfortable leaving it here alone for even a minute." He gave in helplessly and drove my car back towards the city. The night wind whipped through, cooling my heated blood. I glanced at Zhou Moyuan and decided to have a proper talk. "Zhou Moyuan, I like relationships where people come and go freely. Your brother has already crossed my line. I can apologize, but there's no way I'm taking responsibility." Zhou Moyuan shot me a sideways glance and sped up. Just before entering the city, he suddenly said in a hoarse voice, "I'm begging you. Comfort my brother. He's had a hard life." I jumped. "He's had a hard life, so I have to comfort him. What kind of logic is that? These days, who doesn't have their own share of bitterness?" Before I could get angry, Zhou Moyuan tossed a thick stack of medical records at me. "My brother had severe depression before he met you. He'd finally stabilized, but now it's relapsed." No way, no way. I ran my hands through my hair in frustration, fished a cigarette out of my bag, and started chain-smoking. Zhou Moyuan didn't say another word, driving silently towards Gao Yan's villa. When we arrived, I unbuckled my seatbelt with the resignation of someone going to their doom, ready to get out. Zhou Moyuan suddenly grabbed my arm, pulled out a small spray bottle and tossed it to me. "Protect yourself." After his car drove off, I looked at the words pepper spray on the bottle and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I stood in the wind for a while before walking up the steps and ringing the doorbell. Even though I knew the code and my fingerprint was on the lock, I just didn't want to act all chummy anymore. After a long while, the door opened. Gao Yan's hair was plastered to his face, revealing only his deep, dark eyes. He was dripping wet, like a water ghost crawling out of a river. He opened the door for me and then walked away without a word. I followed him and watched him sink into the bathtub. Luscious rose petals floated on the water's surface. The young man in the black silk robe lay submerged at the bottom, the cold-toned lighting creating a sense of distance. Perfect for a music video about the pain of youth. Wait, didn't a scene last time give me the same feeling? He wouldn't speak, and I refused to speak first. Whoever speaks first in a situation like this loses the upper hand. I lit a cigarette and blew smoke rings. As I was lighting my second one, Gao Yan suddenly stood up from the bathtub with a splash and walked towards me. He pinned my wrists together and held them above my head against the glass door of the bathroom. His stubble gently scraped my neck, his wet body pressed tightly against mine. I could clearly feel the outline of his muscles, every curve and contour. His breath was scalding hot against my skin, making me tingle. I had to admit, I had no resistance to this physical form. But now wasn't the time. He had a fever, probably at least 38.5 degrees Celsius. I twisted and struggled. Let's go to the hospital. Stop being crazy, Yan Yan. Sweating it out is a good way to break a fever. Help me, sister. Gao Yan nibbled my earlobe, his tongue lightly tracing it. Save me. Saving a life is better than building a 7-story pagoda. What was there to say? Consider it a farewell ritual. I bit my lip, my eyes full of seduction, pressing my body against his ... At the critical moment, Wang Erhua called. I hung up, but she kept calling, relentless. Gao Yan's brow furrowed in annoyance. He grabbed the phone, ready to answer. I couldn't help but snap. A phone is a very private thing. Can you please not touch mine? I cleared my throat, raspy from desire, pushed him away and got up to find my clothes. Gao Yan, let's stop here. Your illness. Before I could finish, he turned his back to me, the perfect lines of his back on display. Sister, don't say it. I don't need your pity. I tilted my head and chuckled softly, non-committal. I don't like pitying others either. Coming today wasn't about pity. It was about ending things. I found the hairdryer, dried his hair, ordered fever and cold medicine on a delivery app, and then left. Before I went out the door, he murmured softly, Sister, are we still friends? I pursed my lips, momentarily speechless, not knowing how to answer. After leaving, I called Wang Erhua back. It was noisy on her end. She was probably at some dinner party. Wang Erhua shouted hoarsely, Trouble! Li Mubai jumped off a building. It just hit the trending topics. A heavy stone fell from the sky, landing squarely on my heart. I felt like I couldn't breathe, my feet unsteady beneath me. I almost collapsed to the ground. Gao Yan was still watching me from the second-floor floor-to-ceiling window. I slowly turned back, forced a brilliant smile, and waved goodbye to him. The online backlash was overwhelming, crashing down like a tidal wave. First, the rumors of me and Li Mubai meeting at the hotel. Then, he terminated his contract with me, paying a huge penalty. And now this incident. There was no way I could clear my name now. Both Li Mubai's fans and his haters seized the opportunity to judge me from their high horses. And countless internet users jumped on the bandwagon to gain attention from the trending topic. I wasn't satisfied with any of the contingency plans the PR department had prepared. Wang Erhua asked me what I planned to do. The board was already in chaos. The deceased is the priority. Prepare for the memorial service. Offer compensation. Ignore everything else. If the comments go too far, send a legal warning. I rubbed my throbbing temples, replying weakly. Wang Erhua was puzzled. Are you made of money? This has nothing to do with you. Just send a condolence wreath as a formality. Buying peace of mind. Use my personal account. Don't say any more, my head hurts. A crowd of netizens condemning me had gathered outside the company. Wang Erhua was frantic, saying my approach wouldn't work. It wouldn't quell the public's anger. I sneered. They didn't even know what they were angry about. Whatever I did would be futile, so I might as well do nothing. Seeing I was as stubborn as a mule, Wang Erhua made a call and then rushed off. Half an hour later, Zhou Moyuan appeared in my office. His eyes showed the fatigue of a hangover, and he was wearing a simple sweatshirt and joggers. He lounged carelessly on my sofa, saying nothing, just closing his eyes as if ready to take a nap. What are you here for? I tossed him a cigarette and lit one for myself. He opened his eyes a slit, glanced at me. Here to protect you. If someone tries to throw sulfuric acid in your face, I'll throw it back for them. Now wasn't the time to be tough. I walked over and sat on the arm of the sofa, playing with the hair on his forehead. Does Li Mubai's death have anything to do with you? You wouldn't have taken it this far, would you? Gao Yan and Li Mubai fought. Zhou Moyuan got involved. Then Li Mubai terminated his contract with me. Shortly after, he jumped. Could these two brothers be responsible for the sins behind this? Of course not. It's a human life we're talking about. He stared at me. I gave him way more money than just the penalty fee. That was generous enough. I might have said a few harsh words, but he's a grown man over 1.8 meters tall. You mean he couldn't handle that? How did you train him? I exhaled a mouthful of stale air, my heart a mess of emotions. Li Mubai had been with me for a long time, always understanding and well-behaved. Several times when harassed by people with money and power, he'd stayed silent, afraid of causing me trouble. It was until I accidentally saw an older woman forcibly kissing him in an elevator that I learned about the grievances he'd been enduring. As my mind wandered, Zhou Moyuan suddenly sat up and poked my cheek. He the demon. Did you really have a thing with this guy? None of your damn business. I swatted his hand away irritably. How is it none of my business? He stiffened his neck, hesitating. My brother. Well. You might be my future sister-in-law. TCH. I grabbed his collar, pulled myself close to his chin, and tilted my head up slightly. Our breaths mingled, lips almost touching. He visibly stiffened. I gave a contemptuous smile. Zhou Moyuan, what if I've fallen for you? How about I become your brother's sister-in-law instead? Zhou Moyuan pushed me away and paced around agitatedly. I leaned against the wall, arms crossed, enjoying the show. Suddenly, he came over, stretched out a long arm, hooked it around my neck, leaned down, and gave me a loud, smacking kiss on the lips, complete with a wet sound. After kissing me, he grinned like a weasel that had stolen a chicken. Damn, I've been holding back forever. I wiped my mouth with the back of my hand, stood up, and moved closer to him, but he chickened out again, backing away while waving his hands. All right, social etiquette ends here. You get back to work. I'll go out and get you some afternoon tea. After he left, I slumped back in my chair and scrolled through the headlines on various sites. An anonymous post was gaining traction unusually fast. I clicked on it, and the content nearly sent me to the grave, right then and there. It was about my romantic history, complete with old, grainy photos. The further I scrolled, the spicier it got. Several pictures needed to be pixelated before they could be posted. Whoever wrote this post was a real talent, mixing truth with fiction, passing off fish eyes as pearls. They'd firmly cemented my persona as a fickle and promiscuous woman. Casually scrolling through the comments, the only one defending me was Gao Yan's burner account. He wrote, "The only boyfriend He Cheng has ever acknowledged is Gao Yan." What the hell do you all know? I hadn't really acknowledged Gao Yan either, had I? Mostly official jargon, flexible enough to be interpreted either way. I registered a burner account and replied to Gao Yan's burner. This woman has an amazing figure. If I were a guy, I'd like her too. After complimenting myself, I closed the page and sent the link to the PR department to handle. This kind of thing was commonplace in the entertainment industry. After smoking a couple of cigarettes, I didn't think much more about it. A commotion outside. I went to look and saw Zhou Moyuan treating the whole company to milk tea. A smile played on his lips and he seemed to be in a good mood. Everyone was calling him Bro Yuan, and he responded to each one, completely devoid of his usual intimidating aura. After the crowd dispersed, he came up to the second floor with an iced coffee. I leaned on the corridor railing, tilting my head and smiling at him. Zhou Moyuan, if you really like me, just pursue me. I'm easy to win over. He handed me the coffee, rested his elbows on the railing, his gaze distant, the smile on his lips turning meaningful. Theft. I wouldn't compete with my brother. It's not like I'm lacking women, but I'm lacking a man. Right now, especially. His face immediately flushed and he jumped back. He the demon, my brother's about to be cuckolded. I nodded. Get used to it after a few times. His face fell, his gaze deepening. My brother really likes you. My face also fell. I said displeasedly. So what? Do I have to repay that liking with my whole life? He didn't say anything more, just lowered his head, lost in thought. With reporters and angry fans blocking the downstairs, I'd originally planned to spend the night at the company. But at 9 in the evening, old Master Zhou called Zhou Moyuan, saying Gao Yan was hospitalized and asking us to come over. I wanted to refuse, but he was an elder, and Zhou Moyuan looked like he was ready to tie me up and take me if I didn't agree. Helpless, I had to comply. Zhou Yuan, and I snuck down to the underground parking lot. Just as victory seemed within reach, a small microphone appeared out of nowhere. A short, stocky man was squeezed between two cars, holding a selfie stick in one hand for a live stream, and a small microphone in the other. He stammered excitedly. "Miss He, what are your thoughts on the cause of Lima Bai's death? Were you Lima Bai's girlfriend? Netizens say Lima Bai stole you away, causing Gao Yan to hold a grudge. Is it true they had a falling out?" Zhou Yuan punched the reporter in the face. "I say it's fake, damn it. Would you even believe me? You've already made up the story. What you really want to ask is if it's juicy enough, right?" The young reporter crumpled to the ground, innocently covering his face, and sobbed into the live stream. "He hit me, ... Thinking us little reporters are easy to bully. Everyone, please stand up for me, ... I quickly flipped open my wallet and stuffed all the cash inside into his hands. Then, turning to the live stream camera, I gave a radiant smile. "Hi there, remember to type 666. After saying that, I linked my arm through Zhou Yuan's and looked down at the reporter with disdain. "If the medical bills aren't enough, come find me." Other reporters smelled blood and swarmed over. Along with enthusiastic netizens holding signs and banners, a massive, formidable crowd. The 3 or 5 security guards nearby were completely unable to hold them back. I straightened my back, ready to pull out my lipstick for a quick touch-up. Regardless of the consequences, I couldn't lose my composure and dignity. Suddenly, Zhou Yuan hoisted me over his shoulder and ran. Head down again. My composure. My dignity. Would any photos taken now even be viewable? I strained to lift my head and gave an awkward but polite smile to the relentless cameras behind me. I did my best. Professionalism. Zhou Yuan's legs were long. He ran fast. Even carrying me, he didn't seem particularly strained. The crowd behind him, however, clearly lacked his stamina. After a short sprint, they were panting and sweating profusely. Zhou Yuan took me back to where we parked and brazenly drove out of the crowd. "Pretty cool, huh?" he panted, grinning smugly. "Good physique. We should try it out sometime." I reclined my seat and closed my eyes to rest. Try what? His face was full of curiosity. So innocent. I glanced at him, no longer in the mood to tease. In the hospital room, Gao Yan was sleeping, but he looked restless. Old Master Zhou gestured for us to step outside to talk. As soon as we got out, Old Master Zhou raised his cane and brought it down hard on Zhou Yuan's back, startling me. What a fiery-tempered old man. "How do you take care of your brother?" "Letting a simple cold drag on until it turned into pneumonia before coming to the hospital," the old man growled softly. Zhou Yuan glanced at the room inside and sighed softly. "Grandpa, he's an adult." Old Master Zhou raised his cane again, pretending to strike. I quickly stepped in front of Zhou Yuan. "Grandpa Zhou, you can't blame Zhou Yuan for this, can you? He can't exactly keep Gao Yan tied to his belt and watch him constantly." Old Master Zhou put down his cane heavily, the thud echoing dully on the floor. "This is what he owes Yan." Zhou Yuan ruffled my hair, smiling a bit bitterly. Cheng, you're a good child. Grandpa has always hoped you and our Yan would develop a good relationship. I called you here today to ask you, why are you two having a falling out? I heard you even want to terminate his contract." Old Master Zhou smiled kindly. "Grandpa, nothing much. I just don't like him anymore." I smiled, feigning nonchalance. Old Master Zhou's smile froze for a moment. Then he patiently probed. "Child, feelings aren't a game. You can't like someone one moment and not the next." I became serious. "When I like, I truly like. When I don't, I truly don't. I'm not playing games. I'm just being honest." Old Master Zhou's smile slowly turned bitter. Zhou Yuan quickly interjected to smooth things over. "Grandpa, let the young people handle their own affairs. I'll take you back first." Just as Zhou Yuan and the others left, Gao Yan woke up, staring intently at me. I leaned against the doorframe, smiling. "Were you pretending to sleep?" "Didn't want to talk to that old man," he said flatly. "All right. If you're okay, I'll go then." He cleanly pulled out the 4-needle, walked over to me, and braced his long arms against the doorframe, trapping me in the small space between the door and his embrace. "Sister, I regret it. You should pity me after all. He smiled softly, anticipation dancing in his eyes. If you're tired of this version of me, I can change. You set the persona, sister. I reached out and poked Gao Yan's cheek. Yan. Compared to love, I prefer freedom. If you take away my freedom, I'll start hating you. He let out a long, quiet sigh, his voice full of grievance. Sister just doesn't love me enough. I blinked, smiling frankly. Yan is so smart. A reporter, disguised as a patient's family member, had snuck into the VIP ward area. He happened to witness this scene, and immediately started snapping photos with his phone. I quickly pushed Gao Yan away and locked the door. After a while, it went quiet outside. The security guards must have taken away the reporter who'd sneaked in. Sister, you're really sad about Li Mabai's death, aren't you? He held my hand, swinging it gently. I pursed my lips, and before I could speak, my eyes reddened. Everyone was concerned with how I would extricate myself from this battle, how to protect myself. He was the first person to notice my feelings. A subtle ache spread through my heart. Little Yan, there are plenty of people cursing you online too. Be careful the next couple of days. It'll pass once the heat dies down. He gently embraced me. Sister, I kind of like seeing our names linked together everywhere. It feels like announcing it to the world. I don't like it. I stepped back from his embrace, becoming serious. Don't do anything. Let me handle it. You hear me? Don't cause me any trouble. Gao Yan looked hurt. Sister, why do you always insist on treating me like trouble? I let out a long breath and curled up on the nearby sofa, closing my eyes to rest. I couldn't answer a question like that. As he said, I didn't love him enough, didn't trust him enough, and also felt I couldn't rely on him. Ding dong, my phone chimed. I opened it. It was a message from Zhou Moyuan. I'm outside the door. Call me if you need anything. Ha! He saw me close the door and didn't even dare to come in. What did he think I was doing in here? Sleeping with his brother? Too lazy to reply, I went back to sleep. Ding dong. My phone chimed again. Another message from Zhou Moyuan. Is my brother hungry? Want me to get some food? A laugh escaped me despite myself. Why couldn't he just come in and ask himself? So hesitant, so fussy. I jutted my chin towards the door, telling Gao Yan to open it. Zhou Moyuan came in with an awkward smile, his hands full of takeout bags. Gao Yan's expression wasn't too pleasant. Zhou Moyuan patiently kept trying to make conversation, but Gao Yan ignored him. I found it amusing. I ate a few bites, then went back to sleep on the sofa. Gao Yan several times offered me the bed, but Zhou Moyuan refused each time, saying I wasn't sick. Gao Yan retorted, I care about sister. None of your business. About an hour later, the quiet hospital room was shattered by Wang Erhua's incessant life-or-death phone calls. It definitely wasn't good news. I hesitated for a long time, afraid to answer. Zhou Moyuan couldn't stand it anymore. He plopped down next to me on the sofa and slapped my shoulder with heroic bravado. It's okay, answer it. If the sky falls, your big bro here will hold it up. Gao Yan wasn't happy about that. Not to be outdone, he retorted. I'm taller than you. If the sky falls, I'll hold it up for sister. Fine, you hold it up. You hold it up, Zhou Moyuan said, as if placating a child. Their bickering eased my tension. I took a deep breath and pressed answer. Wang Erhua's loud voice blasted through the speaker, deafening. Girl, you're trending again. You're an agent, aren't you supposed to send your artists up there? What's the point of you always going up yourself? I replied irritably. You think I want this? Just tell me what happened. Your sexy photos, your explicit videos, they're everywhere. Why on earth would you film stuff like that? I did not. I am not. Don't you dare spread rumors. Even without speakerphone, Wang Erhua's loud voice ensured the two men in the room heard every word clearly. At that moment, their expressions became incredibly complex. They exchanged glances, silently questioning each other. Such a thing cannot exist. I may not be prudish, but I'm definitely cautious enough. Go investigate. Find the IP address for me. After hanging up, I was trembling with rage. I looked at the two brothers. They were frantically scrolling through their phones, zooming in on every single picture. I was so angry I couldn't speak. I could only pace in circles, patting my chest to calm myself down. This isn't my sister. She has a red mole under her breast. This woman doesn't have it. Gao Yan held up his phone, his face excited, as if he'd cracked the case, and shouted. I rolled my eyes at him. At least sleeping with me wasn't a total waste. He remembered my chest with a mole. Zhou Moyuan awkwardly turned his head away and coughed. I'll get someone to take down the trending topic first. Don't worry, okay? I don't know how many connections Zhou Moyuan used, or how much money he spent, but the trending topic was gone, and the related posts were deleted. I could have done this too, but it wouldn't have been as efficient. Seems Zhou Moyuan's network and skills were more formidable than I'd imagined. Gao Yan was very good at hacking. Despite having an full drip, he was hunched over his laptop, searching online for the original poster. Afraid he'd be too slow, I asked for help from my family connections. Wang Ehua had already sent a legal letter using my official account, but the comments section was flooded with abuse. The male artists under me were also affected. Netizens questioned whether they were all lovers I kept under the guise of work. Sister, move your neck a bit. Stop looking. It'll get stiff and hurt again soon. Gao Yan had somehow come up beside me and forcefully took my phone. He really liked interfering with me. I gave a weak smile, stood by the window, and looked down at the cityscape. Zhou Moyuan's phone rang. He answered, and within moments, he was hurriedly putting on his jacket. I'm going out for a bit. As he spoke, he even took a wrist guard out of his pocket and put it on. Gao Yan glanced at him calmly, then lowered his eyes, pursing his lips, saying nothing. I asked Zhou Moyuan where he was going. He just raised an eyebrow with a smile and didn't answer me. When my brother puts on his wrist guard, it means he's going to fight. Gao Yan was silent for a long moment, then suddenly spoke. He must have found the address too. Too? I put on my jacket and tied up my hair. Give me the address. Gao Yan quickly took off his hospital gown and changed clothes right in front of me, without any hesitation. I'm coming with you. There are reporters outside, and you're still sick. I yelled. My life is meant to protect you. Gao Yan wrapped his long arm around me, clamping me tightly under his armpit. Sister, hide well. I'm taking you to get revenge. Getting out of the hospital was relatively smooth. Gao Yan, tall and sturdy, held onto me like a crutch. Speeding along the national road, there were hardly any cars. Gao Yan drove like a maniac. Up ahead, there was a car accident. 2 minivans had rammed a Range Rover off the road, its front end dangling over the edge. As soon as I recognized the license plate, my legs went weak. Gao Yan wasn't much better. He practically scrambled out of the car. No one was in the Range Rover. No one was in the minivans either. Gao Yan and I searched nearby for a long time. We only found a few spots of blood and the protective charm Zhou Moyuan always carried. Gao Yan held my hand, unconsciously squeezing so hard it hurt. I couldn't take it anymore and called his name softly. He snapped out of it, ran back to the car, and rummaged through a bunch of bottles and pills, stuffing them haphazardly into his mouth. I glanced at them. They were all mood-stabilizing medication. My heart ached for him. This man, except when it came to me, kept his feelings for others restrained and silent. He could tell me bluntly that he loved me, but he couldn't do that with anyone else. He laid his whole heart bare before me, but I didn't want it. So cruel. I closed my eyes and shook my head. Pity wasn't love. I couldn't confuse them. Unable to find Zhou Moyuan, we had no choice but to call the police. While waiting for them to arrive, I sent the IP address I'd found to my childhood friend, Zheng An, asking him to handle it for me. He was one of my grandfather's people and also a shareholder in my company. Very reliable. Even though we were close, calling to bother him at 3 in the morning made me feel bad. An, sorry for the trouble, he replied cheekily. No problem, I was just catching up on the gossip anyway. Perfect timing, I can go ask that guy for the original pictures to admire properly. The police came, inspected the scene, then took us back to the station to give statements. There were no cameras at the accident site, and the dash cams in the cars had been tampered with. After hours of investigation, we had no leads at all. Gao Yan and I sat in the police station, chain smoking. The small office was filled with our smoke, like a fairyland. After we finished the last 2 packs, Gao Yan draped his coat over me and said hoarsely, "I'll go get you some breakfast. Your stomach is weak, you can't eat on an empty one." Not long after he left, my grandfather called. The old man had seen the news online and was furious. I explained repeatedly that the pictures and videos were fake, but it didn't stop his anger. With a pile of troubles weighing on my heart, maintaining patience for nearly half an hour was my limit. I yelled into the phone, "All right, I'll handle it myself. No one knows I'm your granddaughter anyway. What are you afraid of? The shame won't fall on you." As soon as I finished yelling, I felt even more wronged, mixed with guilt and regret. But I couldn't bring myself to apologize, so I just stayed silent. The person on the other end was silent too. After a long moment, I spoke meekly. "Grandpa, don't go online for a few days. Play more chess. Walk more. I'll handle it, don't worry." Just a single word. Then he hung up. I clutched my phone, tears streaming down my face faster and faster, beyond my control. Gao Yan returned just then. Seeing me cry, he panicked, not knowing what to do. He knelt on one knee, bringing himself to my level. He held my hand, his lips moving slightly, as if choosing his words carefully. But after a long time, all he managed to choke out was, "Sister, I was wrong." I laughed through my tears, ruffling his hair. "Gao Yan, right now I feel like a cornered rat with everyone shouting and chasing me. I wish it were like that. That I'm the only one in the whole world who loves you, who understands you." His eyes shone like stars, reflecting my disheveled, panicked face. Such sweet words. But I resisted. I feared such passionate love. I preferred giving you 1 point for every point you give me. Or half a point. Not this kind of unearned, irrational favoritism. Silently forcing myself to finish breakfast, I called Wang Erhua to update her. Her voice was thick with exhaustion. After hesitating, she told me that my artists were all facing various difficulties from rivals. Those attending press conferences weren't allowed on stage. Pre-arranged sponsors were cancelling contracts last minute. One artist on a film set had to do a diving scene over a dozen times, only to be told they were being replaced. Another doing a commercial performance was booed off stage by the audience. And so on. Wang Erhua spoke through gritted teeth. I listened, my blood boiling. After a long moment, I calmed down and told Wang Erhua not to worry about anything else for now. Just focus on arranging Li Mobai's funeral. After hanging up, Zheng messaged me. He said the person at the address was gone. It was one of those informal rental places, and the landlord had no information on him either. Gao Yan, upon hearing this, paced back and forth, pinching his chin. After a while, he looked at me gravely. "Sister, could it be someone close to you trying to harm you?" I nodded. I'd been thinking the same thing just now. Many people knew my romantic history, but not many had so many original photos to use for fakes. And this thing with Zhou Moyuan happening was also suspicious. Could someone have known Zhou Moyuan was going after the original poster and deliberately caused the accident to buy time? Lost in thought, Gao Yan took my hand and gently shook it. "Sis, the police are here. The police told us Zhou Moyuan had been found. He was fine. Just dead drunk in a bar. Still unconscious." Drinking with Zhou Moyuan were 5 or 6 hot girls. They were all sprawled out on the sofas. Looked like Zhou Moyuan had a pretty good time last night. The police called for ages, but couldn't wake a single one. I ground my teeth in anger, grabbed a bucket of ice water from the bar, and dumped it on Zhou Moyuan's face. Zhou Moyuan jumped up in a panic, cursing. When he saw it was me, he suddenly slapped his forehead and shouted excitedly, "He the demon! I know who was behind the online stuff." When the minivans rammed him, Zhou Moyuan had first swerved sharply, and then quickly jumped out of the car. 5 or 6 big tough guys got out of the vans. According to Zhou Moyuan, they had a friendly sparring match that was evenly matched. But judging by his bruised and swollen face, that wasn't quite the truth. Zhou Moyuan knew that money talks. He first made sure to damage the dashcam himself, deleting all evidence. Then he started negotiating terms with the 5 or 6 guys. The negotiations somehow led them to this bar. After a few bottles, they were already calling each other brothers and telling all. As Zhou Moyuan recounted this, his face lit up. He gestured wildly. His pride was palpable. I felt a twinge of emotion. I patiently let him ramble on. Gao Yan rolled his eyes. Once he caught the key information, he grabbed my hand and strode out quickly. This guy had been so worried about his brother before coming, and now he was putting on this disdainful tsundere face. So weirdly adorable. My friend was safe and sound, and there was progress on the case. I was in high spirits and let Gao Yan lead me through the streets, not caring who saw. The one spreading rumors online and ruining my reputation was the gigolo Wang Erhua used to keep. Gao Yan suggested we go directly to his place with the police. I said forget it, to spare my love-blind bestie some face. The gigolo had a reason to hold a grudge against me. Before, he'd had Wang Erhua plead with me to sign him as an artist. I rejected him outright, saying I didn't like dealing with men who live off women. Later, he instigated Wang Erhua to buy him a house back home, and I mocked him for that too. Through my relentless attacks and sarcasm, Wang Erhua finally managed to break up with him. But I never imagined this jerk would pull a stunt like this. A man worse than breadcrumbs. I waited for Wang Erhua downstairs at the company. I needed to ask her how to handle this. After all, it was a man she kept. Wang Erhua arrived quickly, sleeves rolled up high, wearing pants and flat shoes. Looked like she was ready for a fight. I asked Wang Erhua how the gigolo knew so much about me and had so many of my photos. Wang Erhua looked up at the sky and sighed, regretfully telling me they'd recently gotten back together and were living together again. He must have exported this stuff from her tablet. If I'd known, I wouldn't have sent so many photos to tease Wang Erhua back in the day. For a moment, I didn't know whether to blame her or myself. Yesterday, only Wang Erhua knew my whereabouts. This silly woman definitely wouldn't have hidden it from the gigolo. The reporter who infiltrated the hospital was probably his man. He hadn't left. He'd been hiding in the shadows, watching us. When he saw Zhou Moyuan leave, he told the gigolo, who then arranged for the car accident. I shared this hypothesis with Wang Erhua. I looked at Wang Erhua with a cold, hard smile. Girl, which garbage dump did you pick this man from? Gao Yan, who had been silent all along, suddenly patted my head. Sister, there aren't many good men left. Take a look at me. When we got to Wang Erhua's place to confront the gigolo, he was lounging around with a face mask on, listening to music, as happy as could be. I took off my high heel and threw it. Bullseye, right on his head. In the next second, Wang Erhua launched herself at him, pinning him to the floor, signaling for me to join the fray quickly. I rolled my neck and didn't hold back. Gao Yan sat to the side, arms crossed, watching like he was viewing a live sports match, occasionally reminding me, left hook, right hook. Just as we finished, a lawyer came knocking. Gao Yan had arranged it. After the lawyer gathered evidence from transfer records, chat logs and such, a swarm of reporters also arrived. Also arranged by Gao Yan. I asked him curiously, how did the property management let all these people in? He raised an eyebrow. This development was built by the Zhou Group, sister. We have connections. Wow. This younger brother, Gao Yan, when he stepped up, he really had some guts. Was I holding him back by keeping him with me? Looking at his serious, focused profile, I sighed softly. The truth was out, the onlookers dispersed. I seized the last bit of trending popularity, frantically promoting my artists with all kinds of stunts. Spinning like a top, a rival company suddenly contacted me about a couple hype collaboration. I agreed with delight. I'd had my eye on a few of their rising starlets for a while. The man I met in the conference room was called Shen Xuan. Gold-rimmed glasses, peach blossom eyes, thin lips, a chin sharp enough to cut paper. Cold, yet with a hint of desire. That was my first impression. After the pleasantries, we got straight to the point. I asked him who they were planning to pair up with whom. Shen Xuan used his slender index finger to push up his glasses. His deep, pool-like gaze met mine through the thin lenses. I tilted my head, propping my face on my hand, not avoiding his gaze, my smile radiant. His thin lips parted slightly. He softly uttered one word. You? Me? I looked at him in surprise. He wanted to do a CP hype with me. His silence told me I hadn't misunderstood. Two big things have happened recently. Shen Xuan and I got together. Fake, but it still trended online. Shen Xuan looked like he'd expected it. He said I was born with the trending constitution. The internet had memorized my name. There was a deal between Shen Chuan and me. He and I would do the couple hype. I'd craft his public persona, launch his career. And afterward he'd terminate his contract with his current company and sign with me. I had high hopes for him. Good looks, great physique, and intimately familiar with all the sleaze in the industry. Wang Erhua and Gao Yan got together. Don't know if it's real or fake, but that trended too. Wang Erhua, that lovesick fool, was deeply attracted by the decisiveness Gao Yan had shown. In her own words, that younger guy can be so tough. Ooh, I want him to call me sister too. The toughness she referred to was how he handled the gigolo situation. Hiring lawyers, finding reporters, dealing with everything cleanly and efficiently. After drooling over Gao Yan with a love-struck face, she'd also take the chance to criticize me, saying I toyed with a younger brother and then abandoned him. Gao Yan deeply resonated with the phrase, abandoned him after playing around, often putting on the look of a male lead in a youthful, painful drama. Zhou Moyuan came looking for me a few times, partly to dig for info about me and Shen Chuan, partly to ask how Gao Yan, who liked me so much, could have changed his feelings. But clearly, he was more inclined to dig up dirt on me and Shen Chuan. Another thorny issue. After the whole online backlash and scandal last time, my grandfather insisted I quit the entertainment industry. He also demanded I bring Shen Chuan to see him, to see if he was qualified to be the Bai family's grandson-in-law. Saturday night, I was in a bar, sweating it out on the dance floor, releasing pressure. Suddenly, a large hand grabbed my waist and started moving with me. When I was exhausted, I pulled that person into a corner. Naughty boy, are you trying to two-time? Gao Yan braced one hand against the wall, using the other to lift my chin, his voice husky and alluring. Do you want to, sister? He'd shaved off his stubble, revealing a delicate jawline. Less wild, more of a restrained, ascetic feel. A bit like Shen Chuan. This silly boy, he was actually imitating Shen Chuan's look. The only thing missing was a pair of glasses. As if hearing my thoughts, he pulled a pair of gold-rimmed glasses from his pocket and put them on with elegance. I burst out laughing, then stood on tiptoe and hooked my arms around his neck. No. Just as he was about to lean in, I raised my hand and pressed a finger to his lips, my voice tinged with a nervousness I didn't recognize myself. You and Wang Erhua, real or fake? I knew Wang Erhua, and I knew Gao Yan. I didn't want them together. He stuck out his tongue and licked my finger, counter-questioning. Sister and that man, real or fake? Suddenly the bar lost power. The music died, the colorful lights went out, and it was pitch black. The crowd panicked, noise everywhere. A solid, muscular body firmly shielded me. I pressed against his chest, hearing the strong, powerful heartbeat, and got lost for a moment. Sister, forgive me, okay? He suddenly pressed close to my ear, softening his voice, acting cute. I had already drunk quite a bit. Stimulated by his deep, resonant voice, I got even more tipsy. My body felt like mud, limp and weak. I just wanted to hang on to him. My remaining sanity told me that a woman in the game of love shouldn't go back to an ex, especially one entangled with my best friend. I struggled to push him away and stumbled off in the darkness on my high heels. I already had a bit of night blindness. Relying on my phone's weak light, I still walked unsteadily, with great difficulty. Suddenly, I tripped over something, and my phone flew out of my hand. I reached down to get it, but my hand touched another one. By the faint light of the phone, I saw it was Zhou Moyuan. He raised an eyebrow at me with a smile, picked up the phone and handed it back to me. And then, yet again, hoisted me over his shoulder, head down. I was already used to it by now. Sitting in the passenger seat of his car, I didn't forget to compliment his developed biceps. He leaned over to fasten my seatbelt. After clicking it in, he stayed in that leaned-over position, face to face, nose to nose. My breathing slowed. My heart thumped loudly. Oh, I'm falling for him again. If I don't make a move now, you won't even be my future sister-in-law anymore. He slowly moved closer to me. Do you like Shen Chuan? I couldn't help but hold my breath, sneakily placing my hand on the seat recline button. I like you. The moment his lips met mine, I pressed the button, hooked my arms around his neck, and lay back as the seat slowly reclined. His attack was fierce, without a shred of tenderness, only taking. Gradually, I was swept up by his rhythm, burning with heat. But he stopped. He booped my nose. "Little demon, I'll let you taste what it's like to be kept waiting too." I grabbed his collar, crinkling my nose in a threat. "You may have started the fire, but I can find someone else to put it out." He huffed angrily, sat back in the driver's seat, and pounded the steering wheel. "He the demon. Tonight I'll show you the difference between other guys and me." By the river, the night wind howled, no one else around. He told me to get out and wait. I did, confused. When he called me back up, the passenger seat was fully reclined, covered with his shirt. I didn't have time to ask why he put that there before he pulled me onto it. He was extremely impatient, but his hands knew the right pressure. The shirt beneath me still held his warmth. For a man to show such thoughtfulness and tenderness at a time like this, I had to admit, it added points. I wrapped my legs around his waist, my gaze towards him burning even hotter. I even forgot to tell him not to leave marks on me. When I woke up the next morning in the hotel, and saw the dense and numerous red marks on my neck in the mirror, I wanted to hit him with my belt. In fact, I actually tried, but he pinned me down on the bed and punished me even more fiercely. Brother Yuan was different from the younger brother. He was more domineering, more overbearing. The younger brother's possessiveness was like water, silently enveloping a person. His possessiveness was like a visible, raging fire, capable of burning a person to ashes. Maybe because it was visible it felt exciting and fun. Or maybe I actually liked this kind. As I repeatedly dabbed concealer over the red marks, I silently wondered why I was so inconsistent. I couldn't accept the younger brother's possessiveness, but found the older brother's pretty good. No matter how much I dabbed, I couldn't cover them. I ended up buying a silk scarf on my way to work and tying it around my neck. During a meeting, Wang Ahua stealthily asked if I had hickeys on my neck. I rolled my eyes and told her to get lost. She whispered again, "You never wear scarves. Who can't guess why you suddenly have one on?" I don't know if everyone guessed, but I felt guilty. After hastily handling daily matters, I ran home to hide and searched online for how to make red marks disappear quickly. In the middle of it, Shen Chuan called, saying he had something to discuss and asking if it was convenient. I said yes, gave him my address, and told him to come to my place. He was quite particular and brought a good bottle of wine to see me. I regretted complimenting him right after, because he said since it was his first time at my place, he couldn't waste the opportunity. So he arranged for some paparazzi to take candid pictures and told me not to pull the curtains too tight. When he saw the marks on my neck, his eyes lit up. I caught on immediately and quickly covered my neck. "Don't you dare. I'm always careful about the scale of my hype. I don't give solid proof easily." He pushed up his glasses, a slight smile on his thin lips. Got it." With that, he pulled me over to the curtains and posed me in a few intimate but slightly distanced positions. Only after doing all that did he get down to business. He said he wanted the lead role in director Wang Yu's crime film. He knew director Wang Yu had promised the role to my artist. I reserved that role for Gao Yan. I refused without thinking. He pushed up his glasses. "Because he's your ex-boyfriend?" I nodded. "What if I become your current boyfriend?" His long, fair fingers gently grasped the delicate earpiece of his glasses, slowly removing them from right to left. He tossed them onto the coffee table, crouched down by my legs, quietly gazing at me, a faint smile on his lips. Was my reputation for being so fond of good looks really that widespread? I laughed at myself, stood up from the sofa and walked aside. "Shen Chuan, this is Gao Yan's dream." He was silent for a moment, then looked up at me sincerely. "My father always wanted me to be a policeman, to carry on his legacy. He has cancer now. I want to fulfill his wish this way. If I refuse, does that make me seem heartless?" I crouched down beside him, meeting his gaze. "Shen Chuan, sorry. I'm kind of cold-blooded. There's more than one director making crime films. You can find someone else. I can give you all the money. I told you I'd sign with you. Using me, you get fame and fortune." His handsome brow was furrowed, his voice straining with the effort to control his emotions. "What you say is very tempting." I stroked his brow, trying to soothe him. "But I promised Gao Yan first. With your abilities, you can find another script. I don't want to settle for a lesser director." He stood up and walked to the door. As he opened it, he paused and looked back at me. He Cheng, I'll find another bargaining chip to discuss with you, or with Wang Yu. Do you have time to come back with me to see my dad? I nodded eagerly. Do you have time to come back with me to see my grandfather? He was stunned for a second. You really don't like to lose out, do you? Shen Chuan moved fast. Not long after he left, the candid pictures the paparazzi took were circulating widely online. Zhou Moyuan stormed over to my place, all puffed up, demanding an explanation. Woman, you have 3 minutes to explain clearly what you did and said with him. I was annoyed that he'd left so many marks on me without any apology. And now he dared to come interrogate me. Angry to the point of laughter, I said, Don't need 3 minutes. Simple. We took off our clothes, rolled around on the bed. He got cold feet and left. His smile slowly turned wild and wicked. He pressed his large hand on top of my head, leaned down until his nose touched mine. Let me taste if he left any scent on you. With that, he bit down hard on my upper lip, his tongue sweeping repeatedly over my palate. The moment my jaw relaxed, he nimbly slipped into my mouth, conquering territory. His hands weren't idle either. Without me noticing, the collar of my loose pajamas had been torn open, hanging precariously off my shoulders. A man who delivers himself to my door, and not bad-looking, reluctantly could be worth sleeping with. The moment this thought surfaced, my heart clenched. Wait, He Cheng, you never sleep with men in your own home. You're actually considering breaking that rule for him. But once certain thoughts emerge, they can't be controlled by reason. Unless it's Aunt Flo. Zhou Moyuan looked at me incredulously. Everything was fine when we were kissing. Why? The moment we got undressed and lay on the bed. Did Aunt Flo show up out of the blue? Did she have a timer? I stared just as incredulously at the patch of bright red on the pristine white sheets. This ... how dramatic. Zhou Moyuan cursed under his breath as he pulled his clothes back on. I thought he was leaving, but instead he first boiled some brown sugar water for me, then hand-washed the stain from the sheets. Put them in the washer, hung them up, put on new sheets, and only then left. I lay in bed, sipping the hot brown sugar water slowly. Warmth spread through my limbs, reaching deep into my heart. Suddenly, a knock. I opened the door. It was him again. He brought a big bag of stuff. Inside were sanitary pads of various types, frozen food, and snacks like chocolate. After putting everything away neatly in its place, he patted my head and said a bit sheepishly, Never really had a proper relationship before. Bear with me. If I do something wrong, you can bite me. I laughed at his words. As I laughed, something felt off. I silently lowered my eyes, trying to settle my now fluttering heart. What do I do? I'm really falling for him. This liking was like a flood, a beast, sweeping across every inch of my heart. For the first time, I felt the urge to ask for more love, to return more love. Zhou Moyuan stayed for dinner before leaving. With nothing else to do, I video-called Wang Erhua to ask about her progress with Gao Yan. Wang Erhua laughed and called me fickle. I replied innocently, What bad intentions could I have? I just want them to be happy, and be happy myself too. After chatting about many irrelevant things, Wang Erhua suddenly got serious. The Gao Yan I see is really calm and intelligent. But the moment he's around you, he becomes incredibly foolish. You know that? He got together with me just to provoke you, to see if you'd get jealous. He said he's always stuck by your side. He wanted to see if after he left you'd suddenly realize how important he is. I didn't speak. On the other end of the video, Wang Erhua's eyes were glistening with tears. He Cheng, Gao Yan really likes you. Can't you at least try to like him? I tried. I looked at her seriously. The more I tried to like him, the guiltier I felt. The day after I went to the hospital with Shen Xuan to see his father. Just as I was preparing to take him to meet my grandfather, Director Wang Yu suddenly called and asked to meet. When I arrived at the restaurant, Shen Xuan and Gao Yan were also there. I looked at Director Wang Yu suspiciously, a vague sense of foreboding rising within me. Sure enough, after some polite small talk, Director Wang Yu proposed replacing the actor. I forced a stiff smile and asked him why he wanted to replace the lead actor so close to the start of filming. He said it was because he was moved by Shen Xuan's father's situation. My eyes reddened, and I said that opportunities shouldn't be won through competing over who has it worse. Gao Yan had started training his muscles, practicing martial arts moves and taking acting classes ever since he knew I would fight for this role for him. I had finally helped him get this role, and just as filming was about to begin, he was supposed to give it up just because someone else had a tragic experience. I refused to accept it and pestered director Wang Yu, not letting him leave. Annoyed by my persistence, he took out his phone and showed me over a dozen photos. They were pictures of Gao Yan's medical records. He Cheng, I can't take the risk of using an actor with a psychological condition. If something goes wrong, I'd be responsible. I nodded, reached for a bottle of baijiu, slammed it heavily onto the glass Lazy Susan, tilted my head back, and started chugging it directly from the bottle. Gao Yan rushed over to stop me, but I waved him off. Halfway through, I struggled to swallow, pausing 3 times before finally finishing the entire bottle. Wiping the alcohol stains from the corner of my mouth, I smiled at director Wang Yu. Our Yan really has been ill. It was my fault for not explaining it to you clearly in time. Director Wang Yu's expression turned somewhat unpleasant. He muttered a quick, "It's nothing," and left. I wobbled unsteadily toward Shen Xuan, leaned down to look at him, and asked, "Do you think I could dig up some dirt on you and pay you back in your own coin?" Shen Xuan adjusted his glasses and smiled weakly. "You probably could. But filming is about to start, so I had to take this gamble." Gao Yan pulled me out of the private room. As the cold wind hit us, the fiery liquor sloshing in my stomach urgently bubbled up my throat. I couldn't help it, and threw up all over him. He didn't seem to mind at all, though. He carefully patted my back, trying to make it more comfortable for me. After I finished, he took out a handkerchief to wipe my mouth. I grabbed his hand and asked him if he blamed me. He didn't speak, but I was already laughing and crying at the same time. After working so hard for so long to fulfill his dream, I had still failed. There in the hotel lobby, amidst the coming and going of people, he held me tightly, as if trying to press me into his chest. "Gigi, the kid who got the candy is really, really happy." I was completely confused by this remark. I tried hard to make sense of his words, but the alcohol had already taken over my consciousness. When I woke up again, I was in a hotel room. Gao Yan was sitting on the window seat in a bathrobe, reading a book. His hair was still damp, glistening gold in the sunlight. Holding my throbbing head, I called out to him. He turned to look at me, a slight smile on his face, his brown eyes radiating a boundless tenderness. I instinctively looked away. He walked over and stood looking down at me. "Gigi, I'm not stupid. It's just that when it comes to you, I stop being rational and act like a child. But clearly, you don't like me that way." I clutched the corner of the duvet, a little nervous. "Gao Yan, are you okay? Double quotes. Gao Yan crouched down and stroked my hair. "Don't worry, Gigi. I won't do anything drastic. I'll live my life well, so you can be happy without any burdens." I couldn't hold back the tears. They slipped down from the corners of my eyes. He sighed, and with his slightly cool fingertips, he wiped away my tears. "Gigi, I won't be your burden anymore. Just, please don't forget that you once liked me, okay?" Before I could answer, he suddenly leaned in and gave me a fleeting, feather-like kiss on the lips. He smiled mischievously. "Gigi, I got my candy." As he smiled, tears started falling one after another. He pulled out the termination contract from beside him and handed it to me. He had already signed it. "Gigi, if I can't be the one to take care of you for the rest of your life, then I'll stay far, far away so you won't feel pressured." A knock on the door sounded. It was Zhou Moyuan. The 3 of us stood facing each other. The silence in the room was strangely eerie, until Gao Yan finally broke it. "I'm going now, Gigi." Right in front of Zhou Moyuan, he kissed my forehead deeply. Afterward, he gave me a gentle smile and strode away. Zhou Moyuan and I just stared at each other, wide-eyed. He started to say something, but the moment his lips moved, I ducked under the covers and yelled, "No nagging. I want to sleep." I couldn't explain why, but my heart felt as heavy as if a 1,000-pound stone was pressing down on it. Before, I disliked the oppressive feeling of Gao Yan's intense love, but now that he said he wouldn't be my burden anymore, it felt like I had lost something, an indescribable ache. My life motto has always been to try my best to be sincere with people. But after all, I'm just an ordinary person, unable to fully control the greed and selfishness ingrained in me. "I'm sorry, Gao Yan. Gao Yan went abroad. Zhou Moyuan told me he went to study finance, arranged by old Master Zhou. Once his studies are complete, he will change his surname to Zhou and inherit the family business. Changing his surname to Zhou was something Gao Yan had always refused, no matter what conditions old Master Zhou offered. I asked Zhou Moyuan why Gao Yan suddenly agreed this time. Zhou Moyuan said Gao Yan not only agreed, but also went to the cemetery to offer incense at his father's grave. Seeing my confusion, Zhou Moyuan hugged me and told me some things about Gao Yan. Gao Yan had always hated his father. His father couldn't give his mother official status, but insisted on keeping her. It wasn't until Gao Yan was 10, after his father's first wife passed away, that he dared to confess his mother's and his existence to the family. At that time, Zhou Moyuan, also just a child, couldn't handle the shock and spent his days hanging out on the streets. One time, Zhou Moyuan was drinking with some friends and got into an argument. Several guys chased him for blocks with knives, until he ran into Gao Yan's mother, who was out looking for him. Zhou Moyuan had always looked down on that fragile woman. But that night, that woman single-handedly stood in front of those drunken youths, telling Zhou Moyuan to go call the police. When Zhou Moyuan ran back after calling the police, Gao Yan's mother was already lying in a pool of blood. Maybe this was why Gao Yan always wanted to play a police officer. If the police had come sooner that time, could the outcome have been different? After that, Gao Yan's father fell into a slump, traveling far and wide, neglecting both Zhou Moyuan and Gao Yan. Within a few years, Gao Yan's father died during his travels. Old Master Zhou raised his 2 grandsons alone. He always told Zhou Moyuan that he owed Gao Yan, that he had to yield to him, and that the Zhou family estate should go to Gao Yan. But Gao Yan absolutely refused to acknowledge his paternal lineage, always keeping his mother's surname. When Yan Yan left this time, he said he finally understood his mother, because when love happens, you don't have a choice, even if you know that person isn't the right one. I nodded. Yeah. Did you have a choice then? He shook his head. But I'm sure you are the right one. I pursed my lips, trying hard to suppress a smile. Zhou Moyuan brushed the stray hair from my forehead, rested his head against mine, and said in a muffled voice, I deleted all the girls from my WeChat. I've also boasted to all my buddies that I won't stop until I win you over, ... double quotes. Before he could finish, his phone rang. I quickly covered his mouth and answered the call. My grandfather's booming voice came from the other end. Girl, I'm at your boyfriend's press conference right now. Get over here and see me. Boyfriend? What boyfriend? Zhou Moyuan and I looked at each other in silent confusion. It took a moment to realize that today was the pre-filming press conference for director Wang Yu's movie. Grandpa must have seen Shen Chuan's name listed as a lead actor online. And since I hadn't brought Shen Chuan to see him yet, he pulled this trick to catch me off guard. What a trendy old man, always surfing the web. I hurriedly took Zhou Moyuan there. The press conference had just ended, and Grandpa was enthusiastically chatting with Shen Chuan about something. Pointing at my grandfather, I said to Zhou Moyuan, Here's your test. Win him over. Zhou Moyuan looked at me astonished. Are you from the Bai family? I nodded smugly. Yeah, which technically makes me your great-aunt. How's that for excitement? Getting together with your great-aunt? He chuckled, looking at me. Great-aunt ... When Grandpa spotted us, I quickly pulled Zhou Moyuan over. Changed boyfriends again? Grandpa glared at me, his beard bristling with anger. I nodded. I can't help it. I inherited your fickle and romantic nature, Dad. When I see a handsome guy, I just want to give him a home. Zhou Moyuan warmly called out, Grandpa. Grandpa immediately forgot all about me and Shen Chuan, grabbing Zhou Moyuan's hand and not letting go. Shen Chuan stood beside me and quietly thanked me. I looked at him seriously. Don't forget about the contract signing. I want all the procedures finalized before you join the cast. Zhou Moyuan escorted Grandpa to the Zhou residence. As soon as old Master Zhou saw Grandpa, he smiled so wide his eyes disappeared into crescents. The 2 old men huddled together, conspiring about something. By dinner time, they were working as a team, proposing to arrange an engagement ceremony for me and Zhou Moyuan. I immediately refused. Grandpa scolded. Who was it that said she wanted to give Zhou Moyuan a home? How can you go back on your word? When did I ever say I wanted to give Zhou Moyuan a home? I clearly said that when I see a handsome guy. I want to give him a home, I retorted. Is Zhou Moyuan not handsome? Grandpa shot back without backing down. Zhou Moyuan raised his glass to toast Grandpa. Grandpa, I am handsome. Old Master Zhou also raised his glass. And Cheng Cheng is beautiful too. The two children are truly a perfect match. Ha, you crafty old man. He'd said the exact same thing back when I was with Gao Yan. Seeing them united against me, I knew I couldn't win, so I just focused on eating. That night, when Grandpa was leaving, he held my hand, grinning from ear to ear. I bet old man Zhou that you'd choose Zhou Moyuan. And I won. Now that I've won, Zhou Moyuan has to marry into our Bai family. Oh my, such a fine young man, joining our family. Watching Grandpa's car disappear into the night, I called Zhou Moyuan and asked if he knew about the matrilocal residency clause. There was a long silence on the other end. Then he said hoarsely, "He Diao, do you think Grandpa ever really liked me?" That question shook me to my core. I immediately told him to come to my place. I needed to properly comfort the poor little guy. In the bedroom, he held me, his chin rubbing against my hair. "If I marry into your family, will you be good to me?" I wrapped my arms around his neck, thought for a moment, and said, "My dad was head over heels in love with my mom back then. Then later he was head over heels in love with someone else. This love thing ... It's pretty unreliable. Aren't you scared?" His arms around me tightened slowly. "Scared of what?" "I told you, if the sky falls, I'll hold it up for you. After you marry in, you focus on being gorgeous and I'll focus on making money. You have to maintain your good looks. I really am shallow like that. I like you a lot right now, but I don't know about the future. We have to work together to keep each other's affection, okay?" I sincerely expressed my true thoughts, but he just kept laughing. After a while, he pinched my chin. "Actually, I've always been pretty confident in myself." "All right, terms agreed upon. Profits and losses, our own responsibility." At the engagement party, Wang Erhua asked me why Zhou Moyuan was acceptable, but Gao Yan wasn't. With Gao Yan, I felt indulgence and care. With Zhou Moyuan, I felt dependence and enjoyment. I longed for love, yet feared it. It was Zhou Moyuan who gave me the courage to take a gamble. At the banquet, Zhou Moyuan professed his love for me in front of a hall full of guests. Hearing it made my blood race a little, and I couldn't help but feel a sense of anticipation for the future. Life is just making repeated choices amidst uncertainty. Maybe this kind of life could actually be pretty good. Having expectations is a good thing. I suddenly thought of Gao Yan. That boy would be fine too, wouldn't he? He would also meet someone who would make him anticipate the future. During the month leading up to our wedding, I became unusually anxious. I thought my psychological resilience was sufficient, that I ended up lying awake night after night. I often dreamed of Gao Yan. He would smile at me with that infatuated, simple-minded look. "Gigi, I want some candy." Zhou Moyuan hadn't been around much. He was incredibly busy. I went to see old Master Zhou a few times. His attitude towards me had changed drastically. Very distant, very cold. Several times, I even sensed resentment. I asked Zhou Moyuan if his grandfather disliked me. Zhou Moyuan said no, that his grandfather just disliked him. The day we went for the wedding dress fitting, Zhou Moyuan disappeared. We searched everywhere but couldn't find him. My grandfather was furious, and old Master Zhou was furious too. But his anger was directed at me. He said I had tormented Gao Yan until he was neither human nor ghost. Through his vehement accusations, I learned that Gao Yan hadn't gone abroad. His psychological condition was too severe. The doctors didn't support him traveling. He was arranged to stay in a villa on the outskirts, under the care of specialized doctors. Care was really just surveillance. Old Master Zhou said when Gao Yan had episodes, his whole body would shake uncontrollably. His actions and words beyond his control. Each time, they had to restrain him and administer sedatives. I rushed overnight to see Gao Yan. Zhou Moyuan was there too. He was hiding outside the window, using the moonlight to peer inside. Seeing me arrive, Zhou Moyuan showed no surprise. He greeted me politely but distantly, and explained Gao Yan's situation to me. After listening for a while, I asked him, "Your brother ended up like this. Do you blame me for that too?" He lowered his eyes and smiled bitterly. I blame myself more. I originally wanted to protect him for life. But in the end, I almost married the person he loved most. Cheng, I'm sorry. If I had married you, I would never have been able to face Gao Yan for the rest of my life. So the wedding, the marrying into my family ... none of it counts anymore. I thought I could be ruthless until the very last moment, that I could ignore everything and just be with you. He turned his back to me, not looking at me, his voice tinged with a tremor. I'm sorry. I was a coward. I understand, Zhou Moyuan. Thank you for not marrying me. See, I knew it. This love thing? Unreliable. I wiped away my tears and walked straight into the room. As soon as Gao Yan saw me, he panicked and looked for a place to hide. I hurried over and grabbed his hand. His arms were covered in bumpy scars. Seeing me look, he quickly pulled his hand back, hiding it behind him, and smiled with a hint of appeasement. Gigi, I didn't mean to. Please don't feel burdened. I'll be fine. I gently wrapped my arms around his waist, burying my face in his chest. He had become so thin. The solid, sturdy feel of him was gone. Yan is the best. Gigi is right here to help Yan get through this. Gao Yan's body stiffened. I patted his back gently, coaxing him. Yan likes candy, so Gigi will give you candy every day, okay? Hot, scalding tears fell onto my neck, burning my skin. 6 months later, Gao Yan's condition stabilized. He said goodbye to me, saying that this time, he definitely wouldn't become my burden again. I smiled until tears streamed down my face, but I didn't try to stop him. Zhou Moyuan and I saw him off at the airport together. On the way back from the airport, I exchanged some harmless jokes with Zhou Moyuan, carefully avoiding any mention of feelings. At the moment of parting, I spontaneously hugged him. Just as he was about to return the embrace, I quickly let go. Zhou Moyuan, goodbye. I'm sorry he died. Yeah, I don't forgive you. I walked away with immense flair, my high heels clicking pleasantly on the ground. But only I knew that I was using this facade to hide the wound in my heart. The love I had hoped for. It never came true in the end. Those who loved me. And the one I loved. Goodbye to all. The end.